Hello, everyone, and welcome to this TM Forum webinar, Reinventing IT for the AI Era. My name is Mark Newman. I'm Chief Analyst at TM Forum, and I'm the author of an upcoming piece of research with the same name, Reinventing IT for the AI Era. That piece of research will come out in early June, early May, I should say. We'll let you know the exact date when. And many of the slides and graphics I'm presenting to you today actually come from that report. I am joined today by some esteemed industry colleagues. Maybe you could all put your cameras on. Richard Doughty from Cerillion, Olga Tash from Etia, Kiran Punjabi from Technotree. I'll ask each of them to say a little bit about them and their companies when I finish my slides. But just to say, I can't thank you enough for supporting our research here at TM Forum. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to produce this research. So it's always much appreciated. And you're all great friends of TM Forum. And thank you so much for your support. On that note, I can ask you to turn your cameras off, and we'll see you again in a few minutes' time.
See you.
So the session today, I'm going to spend 20 minutes or so going through some slides, and then we'll open up for panel discussion. You as the audience, we'd love for you to participate. So I think you know the agenda now, which is if you have a question, please use the Q&A box. The Q&A box, it's not just for questions, it's also for contributions. If you feel you have anything to add, if you want to sort of add a comment or an example of things that you're doing, problems that you've addressed, please use the Q&A box and we'll read out those questions. We'll be picking them up throughout the whole session, so we won't be waiting until the end. There are lots of graphics in this presentation, so if you want to take screenshots, you can, but you don't need to, because we'll be circulating a recording of the session within the next 24, 36 hours. So you're very welcome to sit back and relax. We will use up the whole hour, but we won't go beyond the hour. Okay, let's move on to the first slide, please, Maureen. So this report, Reinventing IT in the AI Era. So within TM Forum and within one of our three mission areas, some of you might be familiar with the fact that TM Forum's initiatives are now sit in one of three what we call missions. Those three missions are data and AI, autonomous networks, and this mission, which is composable IT and ecosystems. And within the composable IT and ecosystems mission, there's a big focus on reinventing IT. And myself and Willie Stegman, formerly of Vodafone, who heads up the mission, we've been speaking to a number of CIOs over the last 4 or 5 months about what reinventing means for them. And some of their contributions will make their way into the report, which will come out in early May. Also, some of the comments I'll be making in this session will come from what those CIOs had to say. Most of the graphics, I say, come from an industry survey. And I know that industry surveys, there's a limit to their value. So we always caveat replies to surveys. We always try and sort of read into results rather than taking them as gospel. But I think industry surveys can be useful if you have high quality of replies and if the questions are phrased properly. We've had replies from 216 executives in, I think, 111 companies, all continents. So if you can see that little map there, that very good representation from all parts of the world here. Interestingly, numbers for the Americas tend to be smaller. That's simply because there are less operators relative to operators there are in other parts of the world. So that's the reason why numbers are less. But nevertheless, there's fair representation. The other thing that I will say is that, in terms of the people who responded to us, 35 CXOs, a very strong representation from architects. As you can see, 47% of responses from architects. Also keen to get replies from software engineers as well. We had thought, so we actually spent some time looking at the survey replies to see whether there was a clear separation and difference between the replies of CXOs, for example, and the rest. But interestingly, there's no discernible difference. You just move on, Maureen, just for the side animation. So, as well as speaking to leaders and managers, we spoke to practitioners as well. So as you can see from from that little image at the bottom there, as well as having contributions from managers, contributions from practitioners as well, and that's quite important to us because it clearly needs to be grounded in the reality of what people are doing. Next slide, please, Maureen. So one of the things we wanted to do, so even though this is called Reinventing IT in the AI era, we wanted not just to focus on AI, however, and just to understand, the IT organization in 2026. How is it prioritizing different functions, different business goals, shall we say, across the business? And so we asked a question about. We identified. And apologies, the writing's a bit small here. Hopefully, you've got a nice big screen there, but I'll walk you through some of these. So we wanted to see how the prioritization changed across different strategic initiatives. So you can see with those topics with a big red block, that's where they're high priorities. So perhaps unsurprisingly, customer experience identified as being the number one strategic IT initiative in the telecoms business. Now, I say it's not surprising. We've been serving the industry for the last 10 years. Customer experience transformation always comes out on top. But I can't resist the temptation to tell you what I, as an analyst, as an observer in the industry, see in terms of customer experience improvements, which are that, yes, we have made some incremental improvements in customer experience. Yes, NPS has nudged up a little over the last 5 to 10 years. But my own feeling is that we are as far away from the best-in-class digital experience providers today as we were 5 or 10 years ago. So the fact that customer experience is number one, is that telling us that operators realize that they are not where they need to be? Or is it telling us that operators have been focused on customer experience for many years, but maybe we haven't achieved all we wanted to achieve? And I certainly, again, this is a personal feeling as an analyst, I feel that investment in customer experience still is still not where it should be. But that's an interesting discussion. So looking down some of the other initiatives there, one's worthwhile pointing out. So the other top initiatives: faster time to market and agility. Agility has, for that whole 10-year period, been a priority. I think particularly in this AI era now, what does AI gives you? It gives you speed to scale. And so I think that's doubly true today, faster time to market and agility. What I think is interesting, if you move on next slide, Maureen. So the next slide. So cybersecurity, which is halfway down there. So 79% of respondents identified cybersecurity as being a high priority initiative. And no CIO, no architect will ever tell you that security is not important. But I think there is a reality here, which is that we have in recent months, last year or two, seen some real examples of telcos who have been caught out by major data breaches, geopolitical instability, a growth in cyber attacks. And I think in this AI era, I do wonder whether the risk of AI being a tool at the disposal of hackers has been maybe underestimated. Now, clearly, it's not just a telco challenge; it's a broad industry challenge. But I think it's something that's going to be increasingly we need to be aware of. So anyway, so growth in cybersecurity as a priority is interesting. The other one I'll point out is AI enablement across architecture. That's the second block down. And so you wouldn't have had this 3, 4, 5 years ago, but in 2026, AI enablement across telecoms architecture has emerged as a high priority, and we're spending a lot of time in the latter part of these slides and in the panel discussion talking about what that AI enablement across architecture looks like. Just picking up other bits and pieces. IT modernization, technical debt reduction. Again, we've been talking about this for 10 years or so. It remains very real for many telcos today. It hasn't gone away, despite the fact that we've seen some simplification. Simplification can often be siloed in certain areas, but I think that technical debt issue is very much there. What else? Cost optimization. My sense in terms of costs is that telcos IT functions, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people responding to this, but my sense is that the cost pressure on the IT function has not been as great as a pressure across some other functions in telco, and that's, I think, a realization that that IT, that software, that AI is a strategic enabler for the business. It's not just a cost that needs to be managed. So I think contextualizing this in reinventing IT, I think there is a broad realization in telecoms operators that IT needs to gain a higher profile because IT is so firmly equated with business. You look at the hyperscalers, and all the senior guys are IT guys. In terms of driving out costs, reducing IT functions, helping to reduce OpEx. OpEx is flat. OpEx is literally not moving across telecoms industry. Will AI change that? Again, my observation has been that we don't have any real evidence today that AI is directly resulting in cost reductions. That may come sometime down the line, but that's not really happening today to any great degree. I don't see it as being a major driver for AI investments. Okay, next slide, please. So this is asking that question about prioritization in a different way. So, choose 3 of these initiatives as priority over the next 18 months. So in the previous slide, you just asked to identify whether all of these 12 initiatives were high, medium, or low. Here we're saying just choose 3. The most striking result here is that cybersecurity, which was ranked so high in the previous slide. So cybersecurity is ranked pretty low in this slide here. So it comes out as being only 2% of respondents identified cybersecurity and resilience as being one of their top 3 strategic initiatives, which I kind of think tells a story about security generally, which is everyone says it's important, but it's not. It's never at the very top. I guess it probably is if you're an SK Telecom, for example, who have suffered the consequence of major breaches. As you can see, customer experience, number 1, AI enablement, number 2, along with IT modernization, technical debt reduction. Next slide, please, Maureen. We should talk about the extent to which the IT organization is fulfilling a role as an enabler for revenue growth across new lines of business. Again, without wanting to make myself unpopular in this webinar, my sense is that it's difficult to think of many examples in recent years of IT being a strategic enabler for revenue growth in new lines of business on a global perspective. That's not saying that it's the fault of IT. It might be the fault or the challenge for the industry as a whole, but nevertheless, I think it needs to be recognized. So in this question, we identified 5 growth areas. There are more than 5. We just chose 5 for the sake of this question and asked where the focus were in terms of IT organizational focus. B2B platform services. So 2 out of 3 telcos said that that's a strategic focus for them. If it was just B2B, I could understand that answer. I find it surprising that 2 out of 3 are saying that B2B to X and platform are a strategic focus by 2/3 of operators. That sounds very high to me. Looking at the other areas, I've categorized these into growth areas that are based on an enhancement of the network, as opposed to growth product areas based on leveraging your customer relationship. So when I think about network API monetization, network slicing, it's all about differentiated connectivity And I do think the role of IT here is extremely important, which is that, you know, if you can make these capabilities easily accessible, for example, by software developers, by customers, then you stand a very good chance of success. I think, you know, financial fraud, identity services, direct satellite. This is where I think it's more about the customer relationship. Direct-to-device satellite, I was quite surprised that figure was so low. Maybe it's just a question of time, but I think, well, in the UK, I saw O2 is actually advertising O2 satellite 2 nights ago, so I think it is going to come to us. And I think maybe we've underplayed the extent to which telcos will try to make a strategic play based on satellite extensionless connectivity. Maybe. Next slide, please, Maureen. Okay, so this is the last slide before we move over to the discussion around AI more broadly. But one thing that we've noticed at TM Forum is that, you know, not every operator has the same transformation journey, and there's many things that have happened to a telecoms operator, or there's many legacy issues that will impact the types of journey that transformation journey that a customer, an operator will make. So, you know, this is identifying, you know, whether these factors shape your transformation. Well, 71% of telcos saying that that the IT estate is built on years of M&A activity. Clearly, often that's done with sticking paper, so that can be a challenge. Dependency upon legacy vendors and SIs, 2 out of 3 operators. Migrating away from closed systems, 73%. Interesting. IT is viewed as a strategic differentiator, 69%. We've put that in there because clearly, if within the company, IT is seen as being a strategic differentiator, if the CIO has the ear of the CEO, if the CIO is on the main board, there's a far greater chance of there being faith, confidence, belief, investment in the IT function and transforming it than if the CIO is seen more as being a keeping the lights on type role. Cloudification is interesting. Again, we cover that a little bit in the report. We tend not to talk so much today about cloud migration, but it is an absolute reality today. And I think clearly the debate around sovereign is having an impact now. So I think many telcos have gone out and said, you know, public cloud is our preference, but there are also a large number of telcos who are now reinvesting in sovereign cloud and in private cloud. Procurement remains a challenge for many. You know, half the operators saying that they have agile procurement, half not. And then the last one, you know, the role of the architectural function, which we'll talk about later. So let's move on more into start talking about AI, which is, oh no, this is the last transformation slide. So this is comparing results. We've been asking the same question for 10 years, where the challenges around transformation, and I mean, look at those 2026 figures. 50% of respondents saying that cultural and organizational issues are a major obstacle. People are allowed to identify major, moderate, and minor. So 1 in 2 saying cultural organization is a major issue. 48% saying lack of clear aligned vision and goals. So it is as true today as it was 5, 7, 9 years ago. You know, is there clarity being given to the IT function? You know, the IT function can only operate effectively. It's given clarity in terms of what it's needed to achieve. And that clarity is not always there. And its ability to change organizational structure is not always as simple as it might be. So that's interesting. Okay, Maureen, next slide. Okay, so we had a series of questions about AI. Yeah, 83% of respondents saying AI adoption is crucial in the short, medium, and long term. The 33% there is operators saying, yes, it's crucial, we're not investing enough money. 50% saying, yes, it's crucial and we're investing. What is interesting is if you go to the next slide, Maureen, next, and the next. So even though 83% say it's crucial, only 34% of respondents say it's crucial to their job today. Well, is that surprising or not? I don't really know, but I tend to think that if you as a leader are fully immersed in the use of AI tools, you're going to give a stronger impetus to AI adoption in your organization than if you are not. So I think that's quite interesting. Next slide, Maureen. So in terms of the business benefit of AI, and I said to you before that I didn't see AI cost savings coming through or being a driver yet, at least. But there's a general consensus that AI is driving productivity gains. It's difficult to argue it's not generating productivity gains, but that is not necessarily the same as saying we're using those productivity gains to generate financial benefits to my organization. Those financial benefits being cost savings or higher quality, better products, more products. So and there's operators saying that actually, the investment on AI is actually the investment in AI and the time we're spending in AI currently is actually, causing, well, if you like, it's kind of it's increasing the time and cost of what we're doing because we're in that transitional phase. So yes, so in terms of those benefits of our adoption coming through, I think it's too early yet. In truth, we just do not have enough scale deployments of AI, and I think maybe we need to make a distinction here between bottom-up individuals accessing chatbots, co-pilot agent services on the one hand, which organizations are doing. On the other hand, actually using AI for specific use cases. And I think that second area around specific use cases within large business process and functions is not really scaling yet to any great degree. Next slide, Maureen, please. So one of the questions that we've been speaking to CIOs about is that when you look at AI, should you look at AI as being a tool to basically accelerate your transformation? Or is AI, on the other hand, actually disrupting what you thought transformation is or was? And so, there is discussion around, is AI giving the potential to rethink your business processes, to rethink how you fulfill your business processes? And I think if you look at these results, if you look at particularly at the second image there, 4 out of 10 operators saying it's causing a fundamental rethink of the purpose and means of living transformation. And I have to say, I'm kind of caught in this discussion, and I'm going to bring in the panelists to talk about this, because my sense is that even if operators believe that it's causing a rethink of the purpose and means of living transformation, that the starting point is the adoption of AI in existing processes and functions. Maybe that fundamental rethink comes at a second stage. So I think maybe there's a sequencing issue here around first using AI to augment, AI in the loop, a human in the loop, I should say, and then once you trust those agents to work autonomously, then you can think about revisiting business processes. So I think the desire is very much there in the CIO function. I guess the other challenge for the CIO or the CAIO is bringing the rest of the business with you as well. So I think there's a risk that the CAIO can risk being a bit too cavalier, too brave for the rest of the organization. Can they bring the organization with them, I guess, is a question. Next slide, please, Maureen. So in terms of where we are at today, if we clearly, AI existed before 2023, but generative AI has only existed since 2023. And the focus 2023, 2024, early part 25 was mainly around, we talked a lot about use cases. It's all about use cases, particularly in customer service operations and chatbots, contact centers, we're very excited by this. We see lots of proof of concepts, trials, some deployments, but struggling to achieve scale. And I think the challenge of scaling has caused operators to think, actually, we've got to get some of the basics, some of the fundamentals right. And so my sense of where we're at today is most of the CIOs I speak to are focused more thinking horizontally. And that thinking horizontally could be around using generative AI for software, across the software development lifecycle. I think when it comes to building data platforms, there's a realization that just because you've built a data lake, data warehouse isn't enough. You need to augment, you need to improve, accelerate that whole data and knowledge gathering. And now it's about knowledge as well as about data. Within TM Forum, there's a very big focus on trusted AI. Does the organization trust the AI from a governance perspective, a customer perspective, from a financial risk perspective? So we all know that LMs are never going to be 100% reliable, but what is an acceptable level of risk, I guess, for you? Skills. So skills, I think it's still a gap for most telcos today. Lots of discussion, particularly after MWC, around building an ontology, building a semantic layer. You're going to need to have this ontology across the top in order to scale your operations, because you need to have common understanding, languages, concepts, etc. And then I put the last one, cloud openness and composability, because there has been a lot of discussion around the impact of agentic AI, MCP, A2A on the deployment of open APIs, the adoption of composable cloud-based systems. And I'm not just saying this, but I've heard nothing in my research which suggests anything other than the fact that shift towards cloud openness and composability is a fundamental architectural underpinning for deploying AI at scale. That you need to do that before you can deploy at scale, which clearly plays to TM Forum's ODA quite effectively. But I'm not just saying it because that's the research that I've conducted, which suggests that is absolutely the case. Next slide, please. So the discussion today is, how do you embed AI into your enterprise architecture? And indeed, that is, I would say, the number one project at TM Forum, which is building an AI native ODA. And I think that when you look at the responses here from the survey in terms of where operators are at today, 5% say that they've embedded agents in their enterprise architecture. You look at the next three categories, though. This is operators using agentic AI as a bolt-on, experimenting, thinking about experimenting, but not getting there yet. So clearly, it's pretty early days, and I think many operators are waiting for guidance, and many are working through TM Forum to help to develop those enterprise architectures. And I think what we're talking about is a transition from AI being a layer on top to AI sitting natively within your architecture. And that, I think, is the aspiration, and it's complex and it's difficult, and it's a challenge for all of us. Okay, and I think that's probably my last slide. Okay. So thanks for listening to me. Sorry if I went on for too long. Could I ask Richard, Olga, and Kieran to put your cameras on and your audio? Thank you so much. So before we dive in, can I just have 20-30 seconds on who you are, what you do? So I'm in no particular order, but Olga, you sit top of my screen, so I'll ask you to go first, Olga.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. I am Olga Tash. I am a VP of Product Development in ETIA. So I am managing for both product management and also product engineering teams.
Thanks, Olga. Richard.
Thank you very much, Mark. Good afternoon, everybody. Richard Doughty. I'm head of business development at Cerillion Technologies and one of our evangelists within everything AI.
Fabulous. Thank you. And last but not least, Kieran.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kiran. I head product management at Technotree. Technotree is a full stack BSS provider with more than 4 decades of industry experience. Glad to be on this panel with the esteemed set of guests and looking forward to contributing and learning more.
Thank you. So I like to make these discussions conversational, which always risks, the risk always is that we talk over each other, but hey, let's that at least it will seem natural if you do that anyway. So I'm going to first ask the question to any of you, any particular comments, observation on those slides, anything, maybe anything that you thought was interesting or surprising. So anybody would like to go first?
Yeah, maybe.
So I knew it would happen. So Richard, you split second, you beat Olgai to it. So Richard, you go first.
Okay, firstly, my apologies. I'll make it brief. Mark, a quick comment about the customer experience. And I felt you were a little surprised that was so high. And we've talked about this before. I'm sure you know my views. We work in an industry where the core, the essence, the product that is offered is very commoditized. And so where our customers do differentiate is customer experience. That is the biggest differentiator for them. And just a quick follow on for that, I think security will be one of those customer experience differentiators as we move into the AI world.
So, but interesting observation that customer experience is where you can differentiate. I would argue it's where you could differentiate, but I'd like to see more differentiation. I'd like them to believe more in what you say.
Yes, I'd agree. They are a little fungible sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Olgai.
Yeah, actually, I was expressing the same thing. The customer experience is number one priorities.
Yeah.
And I think it will continue because with the AI, AI will help more on for hyper personalization. The other thing is always CIO or CTOs were always trying to turn the IT from cost center to a revenue generation engine. But as you expressed also, there is no clear priorities for creating new revenue generation initiatives. It was interesting. But with the AI, I think we will have many opportunities to enable hyper personalization and also for the revenue generation opportunities, I think.
Thank you, Olgai. Kieran, anything from your end?
Sure. I mean, if you see amongst the top three, so you had customer experience, which was number one. Close two and three were AI enablement and also the platform modernization, right? And we are sitting in 2026 where over the past 6-7 years, many operators should have undertaken a digital transformation, right, to get the basics right. But the fact that you still see that as number three tells you that many operators out there have not done. But more tellingly, 2025 was a year of experiments. Almost everyone tried to implement a Gen AI or an agentic AI use case. And somewhere, based on my own experience, I think operators did find out that in order for this new form of AI to work well, they first need to get the basics right? To have data at one place, have an event-driven architecture, and some of those things. So that did stand out for me. But again, I think this is aligned to what we see in the industry.
Yeah, thank you. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, ETIAS, Cerillion, Technotree, you all sit in that BSS space. So I think we need to use this fantastic collective expertise to actually get into some AI and the impact on BSS. So I might end up actually exiting this discussion. You can talk amongst yourselves.
I'll just bring my agent in, Mark, and we can just do A to A between the three of us.
Who needs webinars? Just have agents discussing, having a discussion in the future. So I guess my question to you is, how is AI fundamentally changing BSS systems today, and do we know where we're headed? I guess. I mean, we could probably spend the rest of the time in that discussion, but Richard, I'll ask you that question first. I mean, in terms of, is it fundamental change?
Yeah, I think it is. It's not incremental. I think there's going to be a big break between as people are considering the transformation, they have the opportunity to decide where the AI plays best and where it doesn't. To put that into more specific language, where a probabilistic system becomes both responsive, highly personalized, flexible, but where a deterministic core allows you to generate the same answers every time with 100% certainty and be able to show you're working. And so you'll get that combination of those deterministic cores, which are behind the MCPs and the agents, and a more flexible agentic space, which can be highly reactive, iterative, creative, but with certainty that what it's using will be right.
And I guess looking at that at specific BSS functional processes, a large number of them are deterministic.
Yeah, billing, a perfect example. I mean,
Absolutely
billing
right.
calculations need to be very specific. They need to be done the same way every time. They need to produce the same answer every time. And you have to be able to show you're working. And that does not lend itself to a probabilistic calculation by definition. So you have those core functions, you expose them in a way that makes it easy for the agents to consume them and use them. And there you get the best of both worlds. And that we see will be the biggest difference between transformation projects in the future and what we've done historically.
Yeah, thanks. Olga.
Yeah, actually, Richard has expressed very well. I think the BSS is turning into an intelligent platform. The modules of the BSS is becoming intelligent and connected platform because the intelligence and flows runs on the different kind of the modules. But we are turning, I can say that the key is turning a platform. Platform engineering is becoming in the picture. So I am calling maybe the correct, I am trying to find the correct word. We are putting a brain into the BSS. It is not traditional BSS. The traditional BSS was based on the predefined rules or process around. But as Richard explained it, we can say that we have in a transformation in a way that there is an undeterministic systems. We are building an intelligence because it will run on the context and it will learn and it will run autonomously. This is the ultimate target, and we have many changes in order to we have to do many changes in order to achieve this goal. I think we are turning, it is not just an feature putting some AI functionalities on top of the existing BSS. It is about re-architecting BSS. So this is very different for when we are comparing for the previous transformation that we have done historically in BSS.
Kieran, maybe I could ask you the question a little bit differently, which is that all of you speak to many operators, customers, prospects. And my sense is that before this AI era, and my view, I guess, is partly colored by the fact that I work for TM Forum, but there has been a general consensus that we're evolving towards something more open, more composable, more cloud-based, more software-centric. When it comes to how AI changes the BSS, do operators that you speak to, Kieran, do they know where they want to get to, or are they basically relying on you to tell them where to get to? And are there many different visions from the different vendors as well in terms of where we're going to get to?
So let me put it this way, that you can do a lot of things, right? AI is not new. AI has been around for quite some time, and there are a lot of use cases which have been there for a long time, like predicting what is the next best offer, predicting when, if you are likely to churn, when are you likely to churn, which is the best channel to engage you on. They have been around, and you have operators who have deployed and realized some of these use cases very successfully. The others, still try to strike those. Then you have the new form of AI, let's just call it that way, in which in the extreme cases, you can have functions who are fully autonomous, where you don't have to code everything, where you have agents doing things on their own. Now, which operator adopts what or to what level of AI really comes down to, and as you're going to unpack maybe later in the session, is how much they are ready for it, how much they can hand over to AI, right? How much you can trust the agent. And for that, still certain fundamental building blocks have to be in place. You still need to have a data layer that you can trust, which has enough amount of right data, enough amount of fresh data, which enables the agents to take the right decisions, right? The last thing you want is a customer service agent is serving a customer, but does not get the right contextual data about the customer, and you end up having a wrong recommendation, right? So you should be able to trust that data. You also will need to uplift your BSS layer, because if the agents have to consume your APIs, you have to make your APIs agent ready, agent safe. Yeah. So in which you need to bring a semantic layer, which is almost a descriptive amount, a descriptive section in the APIs, which the agents can understand. This is what an API can do, and I need to call this product order API only if I have this use case to surface, right? And a lot of other things will come into play. Based on what we now see in industry, we see customers who are trying to have a bolt-on approach, right? They're trying to introduce agentic AI or generative AI use cases on top of the existing BSS. These are our existing customers who are coming to us. Then we also see in some of the mature markets that the customers are actually asking for fully native AI BSS systems, wherein AI is embedded. They are asking for MCP servers to be available. They are asking for a horizontal layer to be available on which multiple agents can be developed and deployed, not only by us as vendors, but by themselves as well, right? And this is what is going to continue. You are going to see a heterogeneous mix of the level of AI adoption in the market, which will obviously vary by region. And within the region, based on the tier of the operator, it will be different. And it really depends on how much you mature and upskill and reskill your organization, to implement these AI use cases, and that much benefit you'll derive from. That's my own assessment based on what we see.
And Richard, just following on from that, I guess what Kiran has described there is the fact that there's a high level of maturity or familiarity with AI technologies and concepts in some telcos and others, which I guess has always been the case, that there's always, for any new technology adoption, you'll see some more mature than others. But is there a roadmap that all telcos are going to follow? And it's just a question of how mature you are, or are there different philosophies around this that you're seeing out there in the marketplace today?
We all speak about this as if it's become a mature and standardized environment, and it's not, in fact, the Wild West, which is what it is. I sit in a number of working groups internally, industry, with customers. Nobody knows. Yeah. We're all making this up as we go along. So let's all be very clear about that.
I'm going to quote that, Richard. I'm going to misquote you on that in the future.
You can directly misquote me on that anytime you like, Mark. But that's not a bad thing. Everybody is moving very fast with what everybody sees as an incredibly powerful technology. The problem, as we see, isn't with potential. That's almost so obvious it's hard to put into words. It's with the governance. There is so much potential, but this Wild West has the potential to bring companies to their knees really, really quickly in lots of different ways. And we'll probably come on to that in a minute, Mark.
Yeah. And and there's a whole separate line of question there around, the extent to which telcos can jump onto the AI train and move at the speed that AI is moving. And that hasn't traditionally been the speed at which telcos have moved.
No, and I mean, one of the big problems we've got at the moment with let's talk about the agentic space, which is probably the area which has the most possibility. I was listening to Jensen from NVIDIA. I can't claim this as my own. I'll quote him. He was on a podcast the other week with Lex Fridman, and he described the challenge with the agentic at the moment as agentic can do three things today. It can access your data, it can execute functions, and it can communicate externally. And you can do two of those safely. Pick any two you like, but you can only do 2. And that's the problem we have, is that we do not have the governance, the standardization, the experience, or even the investment at the application level to put that governance around it at an enterprise level, so that you can automate these things, put them in the wild and let them get on with it. We're not there yet.
But is that governance itself a moving target?
Oh, yes, absolutely it is. Yeah. Industry bodies like TMF, bodies like ISO and others are all trying to put standards up there for design, control, security, logging, auditing, etc. But it's very much a work in progress.
Yeah. So, guys, so you're the CIO, and you want to sort of you're under pressure to generate results from your AI investments. Is it clear how and where you prioritize today? It seems to me that you can either prioritize around enabling foundational capabilities, or you can prioritize around use cases, or maybe you do a combination of the two.
I think maybe combination of two, because instead of jumping into the AI and seeing as a technology adaptation, I think there should be a clear strategy, and I think the first priorities for the CTIO or CIO should be readiness in terms of architecture, data, and also organizational and skill sets. So the readiness is very important. It is not adapting and implementing, deploying the AI capabilities as a technology is not hard part, I think. The difficult part is there should be a unified data layer, first of all, and then there should be a composable and modernized architecture. So TM Forum Open Digital Architecture Framework can help for building for this kind of architecture. After that, selecting the most impacted business use case is very important. That there should be also a prioritizing the use cases because there could be some projects isolated AI projects and may not be deployed on production, and it can sit outside. So this is a trap organization or operators can fall in that. I think the strategy is very important, and we should prioritize both use cases and also I think the good candidate is for customer service is very let's say important, and it can help in terms of decreasing operation cost also. We are experimenting actually these use cases. It is more easy, and after that we can deploy at scale the AI adaptation. I think, Mark.
Yeah. Thank you, Olga. I mean, my frustration is that with this AI transformation, we fall into the same trap we fell into in digital transformation, which is that it becoming a strategy in itself without any sort of business context. And I would like to see some braver telcos actually make some fairly bold, set some fairly bold ambitions, what they want to achieve. That ambition could be, we want to double the amount of B2B products we bring into the market. It could be we want to increase our NPS by 5 points, and hang these ambitions on the adoption of AI, because my sense, otherwise, we're just going to be a bit rudderless, a bit directionless. That's my concern. And it becomes a strategy per se, and we end up just not being particularly clear about what we want to achieve other than being, AI ready, AI native. But that's not a strategy in itself, is it? It needs to have some sort of grounding in.
It's not. I think it's part of the nature of the tool we've been given. That it's almost like a magic wand, and people are walking around the organizations waving it at everything to see what works currently.
Yeah,
that's fine to start with, and it's almost natural. It is like a gift we've received, and we want to work out how we can use it and where it's used best. And if I just look at again us, our customers, at the individual level, at the team level, at the department level. We've got different people doing different things with different models. And that's fantastic now, but that's going to be the problem when we start to scale, is that there is no consistency, there is no harmony, and there's no governance, and from that, no security. Yeah. So, I mean, part of that we've been doing, the investment has not been so much chasing use cases, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. It's been trying to put in place the foundation that means everything we do next doesn't open holes across our customers left, right, and center. We just released the AI Management Center for our customers. And what this does is it provides a single place through which all communication to the models will go. It allows you to control which models are used, by whom, to what cost, touching which of your data. And it provides a single point of control. Having achieved that foundation for security, then we are now exposing the MCPs on the top of that, the agents, the A2A for the agents, and everything else that follows. But security has got to be the foundation before we scale.
Yeah, thank you. Kieran, do you want to come in on?
I think I mean, for everything, every technology investment that you do, there has to be a business case, right? Thanks to years of digital transformation, we know that any digital transformation served three key purposes, right? From business perspective, it was always targeted to improve customer experience, improve the time to market for your new products. And the third thing was unlock new revenue opportunities. So even when you are considering building AI, now be it one use case, or you want to build a horizontal layer with a model gateway, as Richard described, through which you can expose multiple models, you need to really have the end in mind as to what this investment is for. As even you saw in the survey, most of the transformations fail because I don't know what is my end state, right? What am I doing it for? So if that is clear, then you have a lot more clarity on why you want to achieve some of the things. For example, if you take new offers in the market. So if you have today a platform that is, let's say, TM Forum compliant, you have a catalog driven structure, you are already able to launch your products relatively faster in the market.
Yeah.
Now with AI, you can actually have an agent that can scrap through the internet, right, and work on your prompt to find out what is the industry doing, what is your competition doing on particular product that you already have in the market. And it can actually come back and tell you that based on the segment that you are trying to address in the market, based on the churn score that your customers are currently sitting with, I believe this is an offering you should send out in the market. So it is already fast because you have a system that works well, but now actually you're making that system more intelligent. To Olga's point, what he said at the start, you're making the BSS layer more intelligent. Now, when you have such end states in mind, not only will you be able to get through your business case rounds better, but you'll also put your investments to better use, and you'll start realizing incremental value quickly rather than waiting for full transformation to end. And I think that really has to be done correctly. And we are seeing that whichever operator is doing that correctly, albeit they might be launching one use case, they are still, benefiting better than others.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Kieran. So a few questions coming. I think we've covered many of them. Slides will be available afterwards, so that answers that one. In terms of prioritization, we've talked a little bit about prioritization, I think. So keep the questions coming in, please. Can we talk a little bit about skills and clearly the industry needs skills. I guess you can provide some of those skills. The telcos need skills. Again, is there any? We've always said we need more software skills. We need more AI skills. Is clarity emerging as to what skills telcos need and what skills you can provide, what skills they need to build into what they're doing? Or again, is it just moving so quickly that we can't really be clear about that?
Well, I think the single biggest one, which applies to everybody that uses AI, and even though it's been here a few years, people still need reminding, is prompt engineering. That you have to be careful what and how you ask the models. You can change the answers you get dramatically. And this isn't, of course, just asking GPT or Claude in the browser a question about what you should buy your wife. This is the prompts that go into the MCP, or into the A2A cards, or the agent cards, and everything else, because they will shape how these things behave once you turn them loose. So that's going to be a big one.
And I guess everyone in the company needs to understand prompt engineering. It's not just an IT organizational skill. It goes right out to the businesses.
Yeah.
Thanks, Richard. Any more thoughts, Olga, about skills?
Yeah, I think, Mark, because we are building an intelligent platform, so it will need very different skill set also, and in terms of engineering perspective and mindset, because the previous system was designed around the predefined processes. We were development, for example, developer was coding was coding logic into the code, or some configuration. But now, as Richard explained it, the prompt and context engineering is becoming very important, and I think we are seeing also hybrid roles. The people who understand business and also AI capabilities, it's a kind of merged, let's say, I can say, hybrid role. So if a business mindset, or if any people that knows the business very well and can translate the business needs into for example, a churn model or next best offer use cases. This is so. I think the role, or the let's say boundaries between the teams. For example, in the traditional BSS domains, there were business, data, and also IT peoples, but they are merging on, and the boundaries is disappearing. I think the important thing is platform engineering also in turning, and we will have new roles actually in terms of development, analyst, or classical SDLC roles. So they are turning into new roles, and there are some frameworks also for creating and building, because the way we are the building the product is changing. So I think we will have more mature, or it will be more improved, or new roles we will see in the near future.
Mark, if I may, the one other thing
please.
I wanted to add just on the skills. I was thinking purely from, I guess, being selfish on our side, but with our customers, a big change we've seen recently, we rolled out our AI CRM assistant. This means people no longer need to use the mouse to navigate the screens and press buttons and know where drop down menus are and everything else. They just talk to it. This is going to have a big impact on things like call centers, which historically have high turnover of staff. People don't stay for that long. Training is very important. And so it won't be people being trained to use the platform, but it will be important that people know how to talk to that assistant, which will then be their interface to the whole suite.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kieran, my apologies.
Sure. No, I was just waiting for you to finish. I think from my own experience, right? The one thing with AI is any AI project, it never finishes, right? It continues. And I'll tell you this with an example. Let's say few years back, you would deploy a churn model, and let's say it predicts churn with 87%, 90% accuracy, right? You leave that model running, and you come back and look at it after a year or 6 months, you'll see that accuracy going down. And slowly you start seeing that it becomes irrelevant, whatever it suggests, and you can no longer trust it. Now, when we are making AI the center of everything that we do, within the telcos, they have to move from a project thinking where business will write specs, they'll hand over across the wall to engineering to execute, and then everyone goes away, to more product thinking, where nothing ever ends, right? You launch an agentic AI use case, but you continue to monitor it. And when you see it's moving astray, you continue to iterate and keep updating it. I think that's one fundamental shift, because in most of the telcos I see, they're organized based on projects. The team finishes the projects, takes up another project. With AI, that has to change.
Yeah. Excellent. So I'm aware of time, and I have wanted to talk about software engineering and architecture, but I'm not sure we're going to manage that in 30 seconds, are we? So maybe
Have to do another webinar, Mark.
We need to do another one. So thanks for your attention. Thanks for questions. Kieran, Richard, Olga, you've been great. Thanks for supporting the research. Much appreciated. And fabulous insights. I learned an awful lot. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Thank you.